And we go live. Yeah, smooth. Do you know what? I find all of these little beats that they have in StreamYard absolutely wonderful for entertainment value. I don't think that they actually add anything in terms of the actual, you know. I mean, do you know what it reminds me of? Actually, it reminds me of when TV didn't used to be on 24 hours a day like it is now, and there used to be periods where there was just nothing, and there would be CFAX up on the TV, and this is the kind of music they would play over the top of CFAX.
Yeah, CFAX. Who out there remembers CFAX?
Yeah, who remembers CFAX? And the great thing was, right, is that you could actually access CFAX, which was a sort of information service that was text-based, via your TV remote.
Yeah.
And then look things up. But for those that were just wanting to stay up late but had no reason, nothing really to do because you were just sad, you could just watch CFAX, you know, and it was just people randomly putting up CFAX pages for no reason. I've got to stop that. There you go.
I always remember years ago, before you had like all Sky Sports and before you had apps on your phone, it was always the way to keep in touch with the football scores was to get
CFAX.
You know, go to CFAX. And actually, David Allison's just commented that was the other one. It didn't most people used to book through teletext holidays or something like that? That was like a massive thing, wasn't it? As to how
Great holidays. Yeah, there used to be CFAX holidays.
Yeah.
I guess it was. That's the funny thing about that as well, because again, it was just kind of originally it was just kind of text, and it would be almost looking like looking at what was like a departure board at an airport.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fancy Lanzarote. Yeah, no pictures of it or anything. It's just like
Lanzarote, £300 PP, and that was it, wasn't it? And you were like, yeah, sign us up.
Sign me up for that. You get there and it's like, what's this dog's dinner of a place that I've come to? But it's like, well, it didn't give me any details on the thing.
But actually, Graham, would it have been started? And I'm thinking here, not just tying it in loosely with ergonomics, but from an accessibility perspective, would there have been some sort of accessibility narrative behind the whole thing, as to actually, you know, for people, you know, who maybe were hard of hearing, but actually producing an initial sort of tech service for them?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think there must have been an element of that in it. You know, but obviously then the internet got developed and bye CFAX or any of those kind of, you know, text-based services. There must have been. I wonder whether people got moved over. I wonder whether some of the people that used to input all of that information into that system got moved over into internet-based systems of producing this information. It's fascinating. It's fascinating, isn't it? Stuff that we used to put up with.
Has someone put on LinkedIn their previous job was a CFAX data inputter? You know, that would have been awesome.
Oh, I'd want to get them on.
Yeah, we'd need to get them. Speaking of that, I was mentioning their football scores that you could find. I occasionally see on Facebook where you can buy a mug that's printed with a memorable score of a game that you maybe you went to, or a big result for your team, but it's in the CFAX print. So it's like a CFAX mug of a famous sporting score that you remember.
Brilliant. Now, I actually want to get David on in a bit.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk today about some of the exhibitions that you've been to recently. Because you've been out and about a fair bit, and there's been a lot of exhibitions. So David, I've given you the StreamYard link, so you can actually join us live on. But I want, because David's got a new venture, to do with fresh air,
right?
And so I want to talk to David about fresh air and exhibitions and stuff like that, because that'll be good. There you go. Hi, I thought you were driving.
She might be.
3 points on your license at least.
Yeah.
Careful.
Careful. Come on, OD.
Be careful out there. How do you join? I sent you on LinkedIn. I sent you a StreamYard link. If you actually click on that that little link, David, you'll appear at the bottom, and I can bring you into this.
Yeah.
There you go. So tell us, what are some of the exhibitions you've been to recently?
So working back, reverse chronological order. So this week, the health and safety exhibition at the NEC. So that was on Tuesday, Wednesday, and today, wrapping up today. That was quite busy, actually. That was an interesting show. So, a lot of, some of our sort of ergo friends were there, but actually a whole host of, things from safety gloves, high-vis jackets, pretty much everything. So that was interesting. That was actually really busy. I was looking at how things have ramped up after the last few weeks and compared it to some of the previous exhibitions. But that was very busy. So that was health and safety was this week. Yeah. Last week was Channel Live, which is an IT show. That was good, smaller scale. Week before, health and wellbeing, our old friend Health and Wellbeing, and then before that there was a business revival, and those three I've just mentioned there were all at the NEC in Birmingham.
Yeah.
The first one I went to was at the Excel in London, which was like a business revival series. So they've sort of been on. So that's 4 weeks on the trot, every sort of week in March, starting through to April. Where there's
so it's definitely getting busier out there.
I think so, and it was noticeably busier at this show this week. Numbers that I was there sort of late morning on Tuesday, and it was very busy. Car parks were busy, shuttle buses were busy. There just seemed to be a lot more sort of buzz, activity, queues at the coffee shops.
Slowly but surely, just
I think so.
Getting sort of confident enough to do it.
There was still the very, and when I say very odd person, there was nothing wrong with them, but in terms of numbers, there was still the very odd person with a mask on, but it was absolutely in the minority. Probably 2 or 3 people who I saw wandering around. Wow. So I'd say the majority were back to pre-March 2020 sort of times. So, but it was good. It was good to get, and there was some interesting conversations. There was a Michael George was there from Bureaunomics with the guys.
Let's just clarify. That's not George Michael.
No,
it's Michael
George. He was there with Bureaunomics, friends of backers, with our other friends, some Ergotron and Flock were there as well. They got a joint exhibition, but they were saying they'd had sort of more really, really productive conversations just in the first 2 hours alone than they'd had in some other events that had lasted 2 or 3 days. So there seemed to be a lot more general interest. I was sort of joining in on a couple of conversations and some real interest. So hopefully they've had as a successful Wednesday and Thursday as they did on Tuesday. Otherwise it was very positive for them.
No, that's great. No, Odessa said she'd race back in time to join us. So there you go. So broke the speed limit in order to get back. So, but no one saw, so it's fine.
No,
as long as you didn't go past one of those camera things, that's it. David, I don't know what's happened to David. I've given David the StreamYard linkage
and you can't get in
LinkedIn. So hopefully at some point pressing the link will work and he'll be transported. There you go. Look at that. Just as I say to.
Is he here?
He's here. Absolutely. Let's talk to David about fresh air and these spaces that we're all now inhabiting, because that's the thing. I went to a club or an events place the other day to watch a gig as well, and it absolutely rammed in terms of the amount of people there. I think I said that last week.
Yeah, you did. Was that Shed 7 you went to see?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I did notice was they did have some kind of air purification system going in the toilets, which is that's exactly where you always want air purification systems. But I think it was actually doing something with the air as well. But surely we need this stuff everywhere. So let's bring in David and we can talk about it. David, nice to see you.
Hello there. Nice to be invited.
Yeah,
hey, David.
All right. So we're all getting out and about again to all of these different spaces, but we've got to worry about the air, surely.
Well, yes. I mean, if you look at the rate of COVID infection in the UK right now, it's out of control, right? You've got, was it 1 million people infected as the estimation? So they may have removed the guidance of do what you want, but personally, when I go into a shopping mall or into a crowded place, I wear a mask. I think it's just I'm a senior citizen, so I'm basically protecting myself and other people because it's common courtesy. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's on the rise again, and the variants are coming. So it's your own. I guess it's your own perception of risk, isn't it? You've got to decide if it's for you to accept that risk or not. And some people decide, well, I'll just go with it. I'm 21 and I won't feel so bad. Although my 25-year-old son had it 2 weeks ago, and he feels like a dog still. So it affects different people in different ways. So I guess it's just a case of you have to look at your own personal risk assessment. My background is 20 years in the health and safety in the oil and gas industry before I entered this business. 20 years before that, 15 years before that was in operations. But anyway, 20 years of health and safety makes me think, well, it's yes, you have to do your own personal risk assessment, but most people don't understand what the risk is. So when you're asking about crowded places, what you've really got to think about is your level of exposure. So, I mean, somebody might be in a room with COVID right next to you. It doesn't affect you because you're only there for a few minutes, because the level of pathogen that's getting to you is quite low. But if you're in a place like an arena where there's 1,000 people and 1 in 100 has it, or 10 in 100, whatever it is, then the level of pathogen goes up and your exposure is increased. So your chances of catching it are higher. So that's why they say sitting in fresh air is the best thing, right? So the best thing to do is sit outside. I mean, I live in Dubai and I can't sit outside because it's 38 degrees. And it's getting hotter. In August, it's going to be close towards 45, 50 degrees. So you can't sit outside. So that's why my business in the UAE is, I'm launching it here because air conditioning is the norm, and you've got to think about the air you're breathing. And if you go, one of the best thing, I think one of the best measures I've seen actually is because you can't measure COVID in the air, but you can measure carbon dioxide quite easily. And the higher the carbon dioxide, obviously the less fresh the air is. So, just fitting, you can even buy them for the house, I think. Somewhere like the UK, you can buy carbon dioxide monitors. So you could even put them in the house and you can measure the level of carbon dioxide. Opening a window. I mean, I sleep with the window open. When I'm back in Europe, I sleep with the window open even in the winter. So, it's what you can do is you can wash hands, you can wear your mask, and you can avoid crowded places. And then, if it's your personal risk assessment, for me in the UAE, because we live in air-conditioned conditions for 6 months of the year, I mean, the obvious sales thing is, do you want to wear a mask or do you want to be somewhere where there's 99.9% of the COVID actively being removed all the time, which is what the kit I'm starting to supply does. That's really what you got to think about. One of my targets, I mean, I've literally started this week, as Graham knows. So one of my targets is the UAE have the Dubai Trade Center. They have regular exhibitions there. I was there 2 weeks ago at a very exciting electrical connection show, which wasn't for me. But, I went just have a wander around and to see the size of the space, because one of my targets when I get back is to visit them and say I'm attending the Big Five construction conference, which is in December, and it's, if you imagine like something 3 times the size of Wembley Stadium, that's how big this space is.
Wow. So
and how many people are going to be packed in there? How do you protect them from wandering around? So that's the business opportunity for me, I see, because it's not going away. I was actually saying to Graham a few weeks ago, I don't really want to pitch this as COVID because the equipment takes away bacteria and fungus and all sorts of other stuff, not just COVID. Lots of different pathogens it gets rid of. Organic content. I can't say the V word because I'm getting old. Was it vol? Anyway, some type of organic content. Volatile organic content. It gets rid of that. It gets rid of the smell. So it was developed by NASA, right?
Well, I was right in the first place. Toilets are exactly where you want.
You actually need to be there. It was developed by NASA to make the space station smell nice, and to remove pathogens and bacteria and fungus and mold. And that's where it came from. Now it's a commercial product. I don't know if you're aware, but there's thousands of commercial products came out of NASA.
Well, let's talk about where you are and what's going to be happening there, because of course we're going to have a World Cup.
Yes. So I'm in conversation with the accommodation manager for the World Cup. If you look at what happened in the Olympics, they had everybody locked down in their accommodation. basically the athletes were self-isolating and going down with COVID, and that's pretty much all they could do was lock them up and say don't meet each other. And as you may or may not be aware, normally the Olympics is a very busy place for people to meet and interchange various bodily fluids. And this was all banned by the last Olympic committee because that's not what they want to do. So to go to somewhere like the World Cup, and you think about VIP suites in boxes, right? Or the hospitality suites, which are going to be full of people. I don't know if they'll actually be able to drink. Yeah, you could drink in Qatar. I lived in Qatar. You could drink, but it's going to be full of hospitality suites, VIP suites, guys staying in dorms. It's going to be a hotbed of infection. Yeah. So I'm aiming at. I'm discussing that with their accommodation manager. So that's one of the things I'm trying to do is to look. This is the risk, right? And that's what you've got to. The risk hasn't gone away.
Let's think about what happened in the Euros.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we lost 2 players at one point.
Yeah. Look at the F1. Vettel didn't drive the first 2.
Yeah.
The F1 drivers are now lobbying to drive with COVID because they're all super fit and don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll put on the mask, get in the car, and drive like that because they don't feel anything. And that's the young, fit person's attitude, right? But
have they released any sort of guidelines at the moment, David? What they'll do in Qatar for the World Cup with COVID? Are we too far out from that? Do you think? Or
well, it's in December, so I mean, I've still got time to make the sale and get stuff in. So I'm obviously pushing.
That's the slightly cooler. It's the slightly cooler time of the year, isn't it? So that's why the World Cup's been moved from the summer to the winter. So you're probably more likely to have more people potentially indoors, and potentially the risk of spreading it is going to be a lot higher, isn't it?
No, I mean the winter in Qatar. I lived in Doha for a couple of years, and winter is quite nice. It's mid-20s, so it gets cool at night. Deserts actually get very cold at night. We had snow in Saudi a few years ago when I was there.
Wow.
And in the Emirates in 2015, we had snow on the Sheikh Zayed Road between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and they were all stopping the cars, getting out and playing snowballs on the motorway, which is quite surreal to watch in the middle of the desert. It was quite strange. But no, I mean it's going to be, and I thought it was over, but just look what's happening in the UK. UK has relaxed all restrictions. Okay, you've got your 3 shots, and that's whoop-de-dee. Let's see what happens. But there's there's an Omicron B now, isn't there? I've been reading.
Wow.
Yeah, which is now actually, it's weaker than Omicron A, but it's more virulent, so it spreads faster. And that's the dominant thing now is Omicron B. So certainly it's not going away. And I think it will become a endemic as opposed to a pandemic sort of disease as we all get ourselves inoculated. But it's just down to exposure. Even if you look at what happened to the common cold and flu during the pandemic, it disappeared because we weren't exposing ourselves to each other. So this will become, if we get into the discipline of just not going to the office when we feel bad, which is what we should do when we had flu, but everybody should just go in. But I think that the paradigm shifted now with all these people working at home, because that's what, if you're lucky enough to work at home. All these people working at home now, it's a normal thing. Okay, I don't feel very good.
Well, I've said this to Stephen. I've said this to Stephen myself, which is that now sometimes I wear a mask I don't wear a mask out, but I do wear a mask at home around my kids.
Okay, I was going to say around your wife. That's a bit kinky, but okay, around your kids, I can understand that.
Yeah,
because kids,
they're the ones that bring cold into the house.
Yeah. That's one of my targets is schools. So I'm talking to a big school group in Dubai right now. They've got 40-odd schools, and kids are just awful, really awful. I mean, the germs that they spread is just unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, it's exactly it. And they're touching each other, and God, it's awful. And then the schools in Dubai are now suffering because the teachers are all sick. So they're having to send kids home to do online learning. And if we dip into mental health briefly, if you read the evidence around the world, the mental health of children is suffering immensely because they've all been sent home. I mean, I think the teachers are quite happy to be sent home and teach online, sitting in front of the camera with their shorts on. But the kids are not learning anything. It's fairly tragic what's happened to children, isn't it?
I mean, that is one of the main areas where this is still having a major effect. I mean, my wife is a dental nurse, and she got COVID the other week, and so then she's off work for 8 days. and that means, all of those people that needed treating are then not getting treatment. And that's one of the real areas that's it's still having a major effect, is when it takes people out of an equation who are offering or providing a service to keep everything going.
Yeah.
And it's the knock-on effect that has on that kind of business infrastructure, isn't it, or support infrastructure?
Well, did you see the queues in Manchester Airport yesterday?
No.
There were 3-hour queues just to get through security yesterday in Manchester Airport because all the security staff are sick. And the ones who are and apparently after 2 years, people have forgotten they have to take off the belt and put the computer into a little tray, which is the short-term memory. Our long-term memory is not kicking in right at the moment.
I must admit, I hate all of that at an airport, don't you?
Yeah.
Dreadful.
I do.
Yeah.
I'll kind of one in that. I'll tell you. No, but I mean that's I mean, shortage of staff is just going to be a thing, right? Basically, that's what it is. I think it'll become the new normal. Is this high sickness rates, people off with flu-y symptoms, and now the excuse is, of course, and it is a big excuse for some people. Oh, I don't feel good. I won't go into work. And who can argue with them?
Stephen, as you're talking to people around, dealing with offices around here, I don't know. Are you talking to any people that are involved in office design, etc. in this country? Are people actually trying to deal with COVID at source and other things at the same time?
I think with the people I've sort of spoke to, I think what you're seeing now is there is a desire to get more people back. You've probably got two sort of heads butting on this. You've got the businesses want people back from an interaction, team building, etc. perspective, balanced with people who don't want to have the risk of then exposing themselves to public transport, to colleagues, but also the fact that they've enjoyed the fact that they can get more personal time. So you've got a real sort of clash of what's going on, really. It's a real difficult one, and I'm not really sure where employers are going to go with this, because people are going to have to go back in, but people are resisting. It's a real difficult one as to what's going to happen with all of this. I think, as David said, you're going to end up, you're going to end up with some sort of balance with people working from home and coming in when it's necessary. But it's not straightforward.
Just over to David on this. But presumably, there's some units that are just smaller units that people can put in there, of these air purification things that people can put in their homes. I mean, yes. I mean,
typically what happens. So I'm the first person to land in the Emirates to do this business. I'm the first distributor, but it's widely used in the US. It's in the Pentagon, for example, and it's in a lot of schools in the US. There are quite a lot of hospitals, and typically what happened in the US is the parents saw this the absence rates of the kids and the teachers start to fall, and they thought, oh, well, this is good. So there is a small unit which can fit into a house, but what they started doing was nicking the ones out of the classroom, which so they had to put security guards on to stop the parents nicking the air purifiers. So but there is I mean, there are units which fit into. It depends. There's 100 different units, right? 100 different models. It can do a shopping mall to a room this size, and you can even put one in a car. So I'm talking to a taxi company in Dubai, a rideshare taxi company, and you can put it in the car and it's continuously cleaning the car air and the surfaces, because it also the ions which is pumped out by this machine basically knock down the particles and neutralize them on surfaces. So you're getting into basically a 99.9% pure car. So it's a bit like Uber Gold. Now you can have Uber Pure, and maybe there's a slight upsell for the customers that I want to order a car fitted with Uber Pure because I don't know who's been in the car before me, and for sure that the driver didn't wipe down the car between passengers.
Where's the product made, David? Where's it actually manufactured?
It's Utah, in the States.
Okay.
So it was a NASA invention, and they sold the license to it's a company called Aeros, who used to be, I'm going to say Hoover, but I'm probably wrong. And they've got a manufacturing site in Utah. It comes out of there.
Right. Okay.
And I've got a storage sort of location in Holland, so that I'll ship my product out of Holland. So I'm literally just setting up. It's quite exciting. So I've never done this before, so it's quite a nice departure from being in the oil and gas industry for being evil oil and gas for 30 odd years. It's been this is something for good.
I think it's a very interesting area. I think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's 10 million people in the Emirates, so if I can't sell at least one, I'm in trouble, really. That's gonna be... Actually, no. If I can't sell one, Graham's in trouble. Actually.
Yeah,
it's my fault. It's always my fault.
It's always your fault.
People can't sell anything.
But I mean, I think if we go back to if we go back to this, will people go to the office now? I don't normally fight with people on the internet because it's a waste of time, absolute waste of time. But this guy posted, well, I'm not going back into the office. They can't make me. And I just replied, yeah, but what if they need you in the office? Well, that's their tough SHTs. I said, well, no, maybe it's yours. Maybe they'll just replace you with somebody else. They can't do that. It's my job. Well, no, businesses will do what they need to do to make a profit and survive. And if it's your personal choice, it goes back to your personal risk assessment. If your internal risk assessment says, I won't go in the office, well, look for another job. You know what I mean?
And some people, one of the comments I heard people saying was, from an employer's angle was, well, hang on, you were quite happy to come into the office before COVID. We've got all these things in place, etc. So the job still needs an element of office work. So it's a real, I don't know. I think it's going to be on an individual basis, almost potentially department within department, within companies. There's going to be so many different things going on.
But I think that. Sorry to interrupt. I think the bit that people are missing is, and because there was actually an article in the, there was an article both in the Guardian this week, but also there was an article on the BBC News about it as well. Is I don't think people have actually, or organisations have actually understood what's going on mentally here with people. There are so many people who have now become agoraphobic because of this pandemic, who weren't agoraphobic before, and nobody's actually dealing with that problem. They're not actually reaching out to their people and going, actually, what is the problem here? It might not now necessarily be COVID. It might just be the fact that they have just become scared of going out from all of that time in, or they might feel that they just can't, be around people in the same way that they were before. In the same way that a lot of companies didn't deal particularly well with how people moved from the office in the first place to home. They're not now dealing with getting people back necessarily in the right way. Because I think sometimes you've got to do that in steps. I've said to companies, what have you done in terms of getting people back in? Have you actually filmed what you've done in the office? Have you shown people on a video, whatever, these are the provisions that we've made, etc. This is what it now looks like, or all of this sort of thing. Have you, really discussed it openly, or have you said, and I'd like you back next Tuesday? Because, when someone's had a very big difference to their life for so long, just going, right, well, now just come back in again now. That doesn't necessarily always cut it, does it?
Well, I tend to agree, but I think there's also the economic reality that the work has to be done, right?
Oh yeah, no,
and companies have to make profits. So that to survive and pay your salary, they have to make a profit. So I have 35 years in the oil and gas business. We used to say, just suck it up, just suck it up and get on with it, because I know that's easy for me to say because that's my mental attitude after 35 years of abuse in the oil and gas industry. But sometimes you just got to get on with it, right?
This conversation shows exactly the sort of the conundrum that businesses and employers and employees are facing. We've thrown half a dozen different angles in the melting pot between us, and there is no definitive answer. There is no one size fits all. It's going to be very difficult to do, and I think, as Odessa said, it's consultation, isn't it? It's going to have to be done on potentially an individual basis, because it just won't work for everyone. And I think, as you said, David, the old sort of suck it up was how things were, but I think we've moved on, haven't we, really, from that now? I think people shouldn't just have to accept what it is. They're quite right to challenge and say, actually, those conditions that you're putting in place aren't good for me from both a physical and a mental perspective.
But then, I fully agree. I'm not the dinosaur I made myself out to be.
No, I know you would.
But basically, it does come back to, okay, I will tell you what I've done, It's up to you to accept it or not. If you don't accept it, well, thank you very much. You know, the Great Resignation is apparently ongoing. Well, join the Great Resignation and find somewhere where you do feel comfortable going back to work. You know, but you're a democracy, right? And we're not a communist state, so it's not up to the state and other businesses to provide people with a living. It's up to people to earn that living. And I think yes, I can fully agree with. Actually, my 2 years here I was in Serbia for 2 years in a house in the middle of a forest during the pandemic. The best 2 years of my life, I've got to tell you. And I was totally isolated from everybody, so it was quite nice. But you know, I think that I'm very antisocial. I do think that it's a case of, well, we've got to get back to some sort of normal. So yes, by all means, consult, inform, but then business has to go on. We have to make money to pay the salaries, to pay for the increase in gas prices. You know, it's a reality. We have to work.
No, absolutely.
You know, and in different parts of the world, there's different things will happen. But I haven't lived in the UK for 35 years, by the way, so it's difficult for me to comment on what's going on.
Have you been back in 35 years, David, or not?
Briefly, yeah. I think in 35 years, I've worked for about 18 months in total in the UK.
Right, okay.
So, and I didn't like it, so I left again. But no, I mean, it's basically that's the way it is for me. I said I've been using abuse for 35 years by the oil and gas business. I've lived and worked in 25 countries in that time.
Wow.
So my personal risk acceptance is very high, and my tolerance of risk is very high. But I wore a mask and I kept away from people because I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now. The Omicron B is very, very contagious, but apparently not so bad. Even if you look at the number of people in hospital, the fatality rate is still quite low compared. You know, the shots have won. I don't want to get into a vaccine argument, but I mean, I've had my 3 shots and I've had 28 people on this place where I've been. I was doing a redevelopment project for 2 houses. I'm going to Airbnb them in the summer, built a swimming pool, and I had 35 contractors on site over a 6-month period. 28 of them went down with really nasty COVID. And my wife and I, who had the 2 shots at that time, we weren't touched. And we weren't wearing masks, but we were outside, you know. Most of the work was being done outside. And that's your personal risk assessment you've got to do. What do I accept?
Yeah.
Employers, and if you look at what the employers have been told to do, I was on the health and safety site yesterday trying to look at what the UK government COVID guidance is. And it basically says do a risk assessment. And 95% of the British employees don't know what a risk assessment is, or how to use one. It's a piece of paper which they wave by ice. I've done a risk assessment. I mean, putting a piece of plastic between you and me, you know, when we're sitting in the same room, do you think the virus doesn't go around the piece of plastic? You know, it's just pass, right?
It only goes that way, doesn't it? It only works linear, doesn't it? So.
I've got a nice video I could show you how it works. I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
Unless I can share it now, it's quite an interesting video. But anyway, it's basically no. It just basically goes up and then spreads out. You know, it's. If you think about when you sneeze, if you sneeze and it's a cold day and you see all the droplets come out, it goes like this, isn't it? Well, that's the same thing as when you're breathing out a virus. Your breath's spreading around the room. So I just think, for me, I think it's just to be a case of there has to be an acceptance that people will be off sick. Yes. You know, and that's the one thing I do. I kind of, you know, it's £2 a time for a rapid test, isn't it? £2 a time for boots and a rapid test.
It is now, yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing to say to somebody. If you feel sick, go and get a rapid test and pay you £2. You know, I don't think that's for a lot of people that's a hardship. Yeah, for some people it is who are below a certain income threshold. But you know, £2 to make sure you're not going to infect granny, whoever it is. I can't go and see my grandmother because I might take COVID. Spend the £2 and go and see your grandmother. You know, that's in a care home. I think there's going to have to be a lot of adjustment and pragmatism about the whole thing to survive. But back to my solution, my engineering solution knocks down 99.9% of the virus. So let's all install that.
There you go. There you go. little plug at the end.
David, is that the end?
Dave,
you're throwing me out.
I was going to say thank you very much for coming on. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, it was just I saw the ergonomics and the what do you call it? The inside and exhibitions. It's absolutely super spreader events. So you look at what happened in the European Cup, right?
Yeah. No, we must get it right. We must get it right.
The horse racing 2 years ago.
Yeah, Cheltenham, wasn't it? Cheltenham March 2020.
That was one of the first things, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One of the first indicators that we're getting it totally wrong.
Yep.
David, speak to you later, sir. Thank you very much for joining
Thanks,
us.
David.
Brilliant. Interesting chat.
Air purifier. I mean, that's got to be an area that, I mean, I've seen other people doing things already, but you can see that the scale of opportunity for that is huge. Whether I'd never thought of the taxi thing that David mentioned there, but you're going from taxis, small houses, flats, offices, conference type events. It's
Yeah, and what I was saying is, if you can get a small unit, it makes you think that even if you're running a business from home, you're still you may still be working from a company, for a company. Yeah, so is that going to be something as a piece of kit that people are going to look at for some of their employees?
Will it sadly come down to price, probably, Graham, which ties in with the ergonomics that we've banged on about for so long? Is that our company's going to go, I mean, I'm picking a number out there here, if it's going to cost us 50, 60, 70 pounds to get a small unit for someone's home, and we've got thousands of people working from home, it's the same discussions we have.
But it is the same discussion, isn't it? But people have got to start investing in their people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Give them proper chair, give them proper desk, give them proper space, well organized, and as part of that space, proper air, and maybe for the future, we'll think about this one as well, proper lighting.
That's an interesting one. Never thought about that.
What, the lighting idea? Never thought about that. Maybe we'll talk about that another week as well.
I think possibly we might discuss lighting. Who knows?
I think we will. Maybe. Are we installing to tick boxes? Yes, we probably are. We're probably not installing. That's more of the case. I think what Stephen's saying is that actually we're not making provision properly. Still, we're seeing that we're not making provision properly for people working at home. I still think that most people are not really getting to grips with it. I mean, we know that from people that we've talked to that have come on this show. Professionals that have come on the show before now, and then they show us their setup, and some of it's awful.
Yeah, one of the people I had a quick discussion at this health and safety event. I bumped into someone who actually I know from outside of work. We got chatting with him, and he's fairly senior at a global car rental organization, and he said literally got nothing. He was talking about sitting on the sofa, laptop away. So it's, we've always, you think, oh yeah, big companies do this, do that. There are still so many people not doing anything. It's amazing. So that was a conversation I had the other day, and he said, I filled in some sort of form. I never got anything. I chased it up and it never went anywhere. And it's like, that's still goes on.
Gracious. I know. I mean, it bamboozles me really that, even if people are providing a stipend for provision of kit as well, there's still very little assessment of what requirement is going in as well. That's the other thing. And you see with some companies that they are at least saying, you can spend £50 on the company credit card to get something for home. And you think, oh yeah, what's that going to buy?
Yeah.
But literally, who's actually assessing whether that equipment's right or wrong?
But this is one of the things we said this from the start, though, Graham, wasn't it? You're putting the purchasing of equipment that's for a health and safety nature in the hands of an individual who's got no experience of buying it in 99.9% of cases. So yeah, they might be going and spending the money, but are they buying the wrong thing? The assessment piece is the piece that's being missed out, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's the gap in all of this.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. I did do a quiz today, but I'm not sure whether anyone's around to play the quiz, because we were meant to be having another guest on, but I don't know where they disappeared to. They seem to have disappeared into the.
I'll tell you what, I've noticed in the comments we've got Odessa's there, and is Chris Barlow's there. I wonder if Chris is still around, because he was at the health and safety show yesterday. So Chris is there.
I have actually reached out to Chris and said, did you want to come on and play the game? And he said, I've just jumped on a call. Chris, when you get off the call, if it's not too long, then maybe you can join us. Did I ever get an assessment? No. Yeah,
No.
well, no. Hello, Susan. Hi. Thanks for joining us. Perhaps Susan would like to come on and play the game. Susan, you're a regular. You watch this every week. Would you like to come on? I can certainly send you a link to come on and play the game. Would you like to do that? That would be great. I'll just see whether I can send Susan a link.
Yeah,
as well. So there we go. It's great technology, isn't it?
We were just road testing a new piece before this call, weren't we, Graham? For a future
Absolutely.
event we are planning.
Do you know what? There are just so many of these bits of technology nowadays. It's almost too many bits. It's almost problematic in as much as that there is the problem with too many bits is that A, do you know how to use them, and B, have the people that are using them road tested them in terms of what the user journey is like? I mean, I said that this morning because I thought I was joining you on a Teams call because you know, I'd had an invite for a Teams call, and then overlapping with that something else comes in, but that didn't go into my diary across the top of the Teams call. So I thought, I'm sitting there in Teams going, oh no, they're not here, so maybe I'll just, you know, comment. And I wonder how many people spend half their day doing that these days. Oh, I thought I was meeting you in Teams. No, actually, you're meeting me in Google Meet. Oh, I thought I was meeting you in Zoom. No, you're meeting me in Teams. You know, or whatever. You know, what someone needs to do is get something that goes all in. It combines all of these things in one place. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what someone's inviting you to. It makes sure that you get the right thing in your diary at the right time.
You said that was a great point you made, that it hadn't dropped into your calendar, and whilst you sort of were aware of it, the day moves on very quickly. So having something that drops into your Outlook or whatever type of calendar you use is really, really important, isn't it?
It's massive. It's absolutely massive. Where's the link? I've sent you the link on LinkedIn, Susan. Just have a look at your LinkedIn. And you should see a link. Story of my life.
Well, if Susan can't get on the link, we can run the game and she can just join in the game, can't she?
Absolutely. We'll run the game anyway. Anyone that wants to play, David, I know, is still sitting around in the background as well. If he's got
Odessa's there, she can join in.
Odessa's there. Anyone can join in the game. So it's very, very simple. I'm going to run a quiz. Today's quiz is about the back at Elkheisen website again.
Oh, as ever.
You'd be pleased to know this time it's not really around product. It's more around some of the conceptual stuff that's on the website this time.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to share screen.
Come on, Odessa and Chris, if you're off your call. Susan, David, let's get a few people on the call. On the quiz, not on the call.
You're really gonna love this.
Yeah. You don't mean that, do you?
Well, no. So,
were these the answers?
1 minute. No, you don't want it. Yeah, you don't. Present full screen. Start session. Here we go. Right. So, for anyone that wants to join us, if you go to vvox.app on whatever device that you're on, put your name in. Put the ID number in 151 299 944. That's 151 299 944. I've been watching the Celebrity Bake Off Stand Up for Cancer.
Yeah, I watched it last night. Was that the one with Annie? It was the Annie Mac one last night.
Annie Mac, an example. Elliot Gould, whatever. Yeah, that was brilliant.
And really Matt had to sub in, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. Matt did a great job, I thought.
I didn't hear the whole bit at the start. Did someone pull out sick? Did we know who that was?
Well, they didn't say who it was. They said it was Obama.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, but obviously it wasn't. But clearly it was someone. Right, so yeah, if you can join at vvox.app, ID number 151 299 944. And
Odessa and Chris are joining, apparently.
Brilliant. With the first question. Okay, here it is. First question. And then, of course, people can answer. Got 3 people in anyway. According to the Backer Alkhuisen website, there are advantages to hybrid working. Which of these isn't one of them? Is it more professional joy, higher productivity, sustainability, or better ergonomics? According to the Backer Alkhuisen website, there are advantages to hybrid working. Which of these isn't one of them? Okay, someone's gone for more.
We've got 4
professional
people
joy.
in.
4 people in. Great, that's wonderful. Better ergonomics. 2 people voted. 2 more to go.
It's not Jonathan, is it? Who's on a 2-minute delay usually.
Oh, I like this. I like this. Everybody's going different things. I only need one person to go for sustainability now, and we've got a full house.
Yeah.
Last person. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2. Right, there we go.
Oh,
One.
they're in.
Cool. And let's have a little look. Correct answer was better ergonomics, believe it or not. Yeah, of course, if you think about it, it was a little bit of a trick, because you might have thought, ergonomics, maybe that, but it's that's not an advantage necessarily of hybrid working, better ergonomics. It's only better if someone's actually taken care of that. So the next question, to make hybrid working a success, something needs to be more precise. Is it marketing, journey times, information, or scheduling? Someone's quick off the mark there. To make hybrid working a success, something needs to be more precise. 3 people.
Everyone's lumping on scheduling.
Everyone's going scheduling. Yeah. Did you say
scheduling or scheduling?
Scheduling. Yeah. I don't know.
Scheduling. Yeah.
The correct answer is, of course, scheduling. Scheduling. Yes. According to the site, employees will have different expectations of which will play an important role in hybrid working. Is it software solutions, HR management, ice cream flavors, working hours, or where they can work? I think someone's got to go for ice cream flavors, haven't they? Yes. Thank you.
That's Chris Barlow.
Brilliant. Oh, whoever's put ice cream flavors, I love it.
That should be the right answer.
That should be the right answer. Yeah. Imagine, we've all got different expectations of the ice cream flavors. It's like the old Not the 9 o'clock news sketch. Yeah. And you can have my wife's recipe for lemon
2 people are in on it.
Brilliant. The correct answer, believe it or not, is
ice cream flavors.
HR management.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Everyone's got different expectations of that HR management stuff. On the page Downward Health Trend, there's a page on your website called Downward Health Trend. Studies show that what percentage of people have difficulty concentrating? Ooh. There you go. Is it 10%, 8%, 16%, or 12%? So actually, this is to do with hybrid work. And I think, therefore, working sort of in different locations, it causes some people to have a problem in terms of concentration at work. We've got 4, and the correct answer is, this is fascinating stuff. Correct answer is 12%. There you go. Next one. And then I think we'll do a little catch up after this. Figures for 2020 show that people are sitting for how many hours during the working day on average? This is for computer desk-based roles. This is based on figures on your website. 6.1 hours, 7.1 hours, 6.3 hours, or 8 hours. Have we got all 4? Yeah, all 4 in. Well, the correct answer is 7.1 hours. Well done to whoever got that right. Let's have a look at the leaderboard. Oh, we've got 2 people in first place. Let's have a look at the list. Chris and Steve. Odd McShuzzle. You've come third, and David's fourth at the moment. There we go. So close the leaderboard. Let's carry on. Absenteeism leads to economic for employers, according to the site. Is it economic downturn, damage, disaster, doubt, or mixtapes? I love mixtapes. Did you ever make mixtapes, Stephen?
I think so. We all recorded the chart show on a Sunday evening, didn't you? When you just sort of had it on pause, record, play, and pause, and then used to release pause.
And you'd always get a little bit of the presenter in there somewhere along the line, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And it would always be like, week, and then and then the track, and you'd come to love those little bits of speak in between. Anyway, what's the answers? What have we got? So we've got downturn, doubt, mixtapes again. 20. Someone's just playing with us, definitely. Yeah. Maybe it's David, actually. I think he's got a sense of humour. There we go. Close poll. And the correct answer is, believe it or not, damage.
Ooh.
Absenteeism leads to economic damage for employers, according to the site. Right. What question are we? We're on question. I can't see what. 7. Yeah, there we go. So we've got 3 more questions. Something leads to more variation between standing up and sitting down. Is it a sit-stand desk? Going to the toilet, rest breaks, work and move, or having a vape? Arguably, you could say any of these, actually. Or just going for a vape. Do people say they're going for a smoke? That's an interesting thing. Do people actually generally say that they're going for a smoke break these days? Or cigarette break? Because a lot of people don't actually do cigarettes anymore.
No.
I
don't really know anyone. I don't know that many people who do smoke or vape, so I'm not sure.
No. What's that called in an office these days? Do people call it? And the correct answer is work and move. So what is work and move, Stephen?
It's our software, which is all about encouraging people to vary their sitting and standing and how they're working. So it's a piece of break software, I guess you'd call it, but a little bit more than that. So.
And just to clarify, the break software doesn't suggest to people go and have a vape.
No.
Go to no, exactly.
Not yet.
It's not yet. It's much far more sophisticated than that. Is the office of the future simply a waste of money, a coffee shop, a gathering place, a place of worship, or a rented space? Or perhaps it could be a place of worship that is a rented space where people gather and have a coffee, which is a waste of money.
Yeah, all of the above.
So all of them combined. Yeah. Just imagine that. Yeah, I've been into places of worship in London, in the centre of London, and I'm thinking in particular around sort of St Paul's area. There was a church where I used to go, and it was a coffee shop, but I could work there as well.
Okay.
So it's if you think about it, churches during the day, especially in big cities like that, they've got an opportunity, haven't they, to be these kind of spaces for work.
You're trying to throw us out here by almost justifying every option, Graham.
I am. I'm trying to do that. But the correct answer was, let's just have a look. A gathering place. 50% if you got that right. Well done. So 2 more questions. The pain is soon to finish.
No music questions this week.
Well, let's wait and see, shall we? Since the first lockdown in March, working from home has become an integral part of our working environment. Okay. Since the first lockdown in March, working from home has become an integral part of our working environment. So what's the missing word? Is it pointless, lengthy, intelligent, conservative, or pandemic?
Is that deliberately a conservative with the large C as opposed to a small C?
Yeah. Deliberately. Since the first conservative lockdown in March, working from home has become an integral part of our working environment. I love how we've got 3. We've got 1 more to go. Brilliant. And actually, according to the website, the correct answer was, you never guess this, intelligent. That's what it says. Since the first intelligent lockdown in March.
Wow.
Yeah. I love that. Pointless. That's brilliant. Which of these bands wrote the indie smash Chaise Long? Is it Gel Riot, Dead Letters, Wet Leg, Haim, or Tango Force?
I've only heard of one of them.
Have you?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with who I've heard of.
Oh,
hang on. Graham, I'll throw this back to you. How many of those actually exist?
What?
As in
that I
bands?
actually know of.
Yeah.
Because they might. 2
Yeah.
actually exist. Yeah. But I think the rest of them could be names of girl bands, right?
Wet Leg.
That's great, isn't it? One more. What? Last vote. Come on, put us out of our misery, please. Let's finish this. We need a winner.
Come on, Chris.
Whoever it is, get off that phone call and let's finish this game. Let's do it. Which of these bands wrote the indie smash Chaise Long? No. Well, we've lost someone. Hang on.
Oh, hang on.
We've got a change of mind here happening.
If you follow the commentary, Chris Sparlow saying it's a cracking song. He heard it on the radio for the first time yesterday.
It is a cracking song, isn't it? It's brilliant. Right. Okay. I'm going to. We've got it now. Here we go.
Wet Leg.
Right. Here we go. Close poll. The correct answer is Wet Leg. You didn't think that was a band, did you? That is the name of the band, Wet Leg. Oh, Tango Force I made up. Haim, of course, do exist. Dead Letters, I made that up. And Girl Riot. As far as I know, there isn't actually a band called Girl Riot, but there may be. But I think they're great names for bands. If you want a name for a band, you can't actually think of a band name.
Wet Leg.
Just contact me.
It's
and
already
I will come up with a great name for a band. We have got 2 people tying for first. So let's see who was that. Let's have a look at the old leaderboard. Chris and Steve. Well done, everybody. Well done, Steve.
Well done, Chris.
You did really
I think
well
he got that last one right.
I think he got that last one right.
Yeah,
So that
I think he
right
did.
That was right to the wire, wasn't it?
It was. I had only ever heard of Haim, so I thought I'll go with Haim.
Oh, you could have pipped him at the post there. You could have pipped that.
Did Odessa get 1 out of 10? She must have been putting the ice cream answers and things like that, surely.
I think she must have been just for a laugh. Oh, listening to it now. It's a tune. It is a tune. It is totally a tune. All day long on the
I hate this game. I never win.
We'll
put sensible answers then. Don't put ice cream flavors. I mean, what do you expect?
Would we all be better off in offices though if we all, dry arm? I love that. Susan said dry arm. I am furious. That's not a name of a band.
No. Is that the name of is that the album by Wet Leg?
What?
I am furious.
Furious.
Yeah. In capitals.
No, that's the name of the album by the by Girl Riot. I am furious.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Really, really good. Furious with a beautiful smile.
There you go.
That's the first song on the album.
Yeah.
I've got all their tracks. Brilliant. Oh, it's been great today. Thanks to our special guest, even David, for coming on.
Did you say special desk?
Special desk.
My special desk.
No, I just needed to put my teeth in properly.
Okay.
Thanks to our special guest, David, for popping in and talking to us about Pure Air. It's something that we all need to think about. Is how are we making our environments fit for work, fit for living? Full stop, actually. If you want to know more about that, contact David on on his LinkedIn, and I'm sure he'll talk to you more about it. I'm sure we'd be happy to tell you more about air. We'll be back again next week with the game again, and other things to tell you about, which have to remain secret for now. But can we say anything about a link or not?
I think it will be an enlightening conversation next week.
An enlightening. Just we'll leave it there. Next week it will be enlightening. All right, you can chew on that, and think about that. Maybe look during the week at wowergonomics.com. There may be an announcement on there as well. And you can listen, as Chris has discovered this week, to previous episodes of this on podcast. He listened to 2 episodes of us on the way to that exhibition. Apparently, we're now his go-to podcast.
After Wet Leg.
After Wet Leg.
Yeah.
What we need to do is get Wet Leg on to do a little bit of a song in between us talking, and that would be the perfect combination.
Awesome.
There you go. Maybe I will. It could be a slow day with family. Ooh, yes, there we go. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
See you
for
next
now.
week. Bye.
Bye.